I thought I was going to hear your... There he is. There's our intro song with the Gordon Montgomery, starting off In Your City show here. We are live at the most beautiful venue. Seriously, I think it's one of the most beautiful venues I've been to, and I can't turn my head because the little bit of echo in here, I kind of sway off. I feel like, what's that funny movie where he keeps closing the patio door?
I've seen your beautiful face, not enough, but I've seen your
Jim
beautiful
Carrey.
face. I know what
He's
you look
going,
like.
That's what I feel like when I turn my head. You don't have the earphones on, so you can't hear the distortion or the change, when you move. But we are out here at 333 Vineyards. It's in Washington, not Washington, Gordon, but Washington.
Yeah, I was born here.
You would not put the R in here. That's right, you were.
I was born.
We passed the hospital on the way here, so That's really cool. But we are here in Washington, Missouri at 333 Vineyard, and it's gorgeous. The grounds, I wish that we could just swing the camera around, but Gordon is going to show some great pictures of the venue as we get moving. You're going to meet the owners here today, and you're also going to speak to Emily. What a beauty she is. She is from the actual Chamber of Commerce. She's the Director of Tourism, and that's Emily Underground Hopkins. I can't forget the last name, right? Because we talked about that story. So we're going to find out all kinds of great things and what the 333 Vineyard has to offer, talk about wine, and I mean, can you do any better show when you have a glass of wine while you're doing a podcast? So I think that's pretty cool. And okay, Dan made you. What did he make you?
I don't know. Dan, what did you make me?
That's the antidote.
The antidote.
The antidote.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So
we're going to pull that just a little bit. See, that's why we need headphones.
So during COVID, we were trying to do a bunch of stuff, as everybody was. And one of the silly things that we did was a virtual cocktail class, which
His switch is off.
There we go.
And he's with us.
And I'm here.
I'm like, why does he sound like he's in another room right now?
Right. No. So the antidote is is one of the cocktails that we make here. It's one of our signature cocktails. But its birth was kind of interesting. So we were doing a bunch of stuff during COVID, which everybody was.
Everybody was, right?
And so we do cocktail classes at Olivino. And during COVID, we were like, well, we can't have people in to do a cocktail class, unfortunately. So she talked me into doing a virtual cocktail class, which was terrible. But
you got to drink.
Yeah, well, so I had made up a new cocktail before it, and they were pressuring me to name the thing, and they're like, "Well, what do you want to name it?" I'm like, "It's the antidote. I'm over this." So
The antidote.
yeah. So now that the antidote is on the menu, it's basically an old fashioned, but with our apricot balsamic in it, which is
Very cool.
fantastic.
Very cool, because we actually had one of your old fashions made over at Olivino, and which of course we'll get into that. Deb is the owner of Olivino, which you've probably been to one of their great stores. The one that I'm familiar with is at Streets of St. Charles, but there's also one in Washington, Missouri as well. And being made with organic, so it's not just vinegar, but it's balsamic with flavor. It's so delicious and healthy. So I felt like it was okay to drink. It's healthy. I had an organic drink, right?
It's prescribed.
It's prescribed, right. So getting back to the show today, we're going to be here for the next hour, having some fun, showing off the wines. Behind us, I don't know if you can see in the video, I guess I'm looking, you can just kind of see the gorgeous scenery behind us, which is a pond that they have. Is that the right word? Yeah, because it's not like a lake where we get out there and go skiing or something, but it's fairly large with fountains. They've taken, what are they called, Dan? The
silos?
The silos. So they've taken these silos and turned them into smaller areas for parties. There's a bar.
I'll show you right now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all the great things that they have out there and find out what it's all about and find out about Washington. So it's going to be a fun show. So with us over here to my right, your left, is Emily Underground Hopkins, and again, she's the Director of Tourism for Washington, Missouri, and that is where In Your City is at right now. And then we have the owners, which is Deb, who is now Deb Fletcher. We knew her as Deb Baker. Yeah, we just went Oliver. Can I still say that name? And then now she's just been married as of September, and so she is now the new Deb Fletcher. So welcome to your new married life. And then Dan Baker, which is right here to her right, that is her son. So it's a family business, which makes it even more, I don't know.
More
just
better.
More better. More funner. It's more funner.
And speaking of family business, is
Yeah.
it easy working with family in a business? I mean, has it been easy?
Yeah. I mean, you have something you're working towards, and it's a good thing to be able to do this and kind of share this adventure together. And
I've been part of it. And there's so much activity space. It's not like you're on top of each other.
Right, you can disappear.
That's right. We can get away if we need to.
Yeah, you can be in one area while the other one's in another. So again, just to kind of bring you back, we kind of started the show having a little bit of fun, but In Your City is brought to you by Chesterfield, Clayton, and St. Charles City Lifestyle magazines, which normally we have lined up in front so that you can see those, but Gordon, in his masterpiece of setting this up, didn't put the magazines back, but maybe we'll show them to you in a little while. But most of you probably know the magazines that we have. So we bring you this great city. We go city to city. We've been different places, bringing you fun events, fun venues, and things that maybe you might not know existed out there. And we were talking about the Fox last week, and Emily was watching it, where luckily there's no paranormal activity going on here. We are good to go on that.
Too new for that.
That's right. So this podcast, of course, will be up on all your favorite podcast sites when we finish it, as well as it will be, the video will be on YouTube for all of you that are seeing it on Facebook and you're just dying to rewatch it 100 times more. It will go up on our In Your City Show Facebook page. So welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you all here. Our question of the day, which let me go down to some of the, there's quite a few responses. I was going to go in there and try to make kind of a tally and see what was the favorite, but I didn't do that after so many. Let's see, why is it not letting me get to it? Previous, let me go backwards. So with that question being asked, what is your favorite, Emily? What style of wine would be your favorite?
So I am a sweet white wine lover, so I prefer a Riesling. That is my favorite. That's what I always drink when I'm out here, and somehow you guys remembered that from when I was out here filming, I guess, and they had one ready for me whenever I got here, so that's
So of course, because you're a young springling.
Sure, yeah.
My daughter, as well as like a sweet Riesling Moscato, is that the right type things? And that I find it funny because that's how I started drinking wine.
Sure.
It was first like Kool-Aid.
Yes.
Kind of like coffee. I could only do lattes. Now I'm getting to where I think I might go black eventually.
Oh, wow.
It's funny how like your taste really starts to change. But it took me a long time to appreciate the quality of red wine because it didn't have the right taste when I was younger, and now I love it. But if I was mentioning earlier, if I drink more than one glass, I should go home. So as you can see, I'm drinking white wine to get through the show.
To me, I always associate that with like olives. You know, when I was younger, I would never have eaten a green or black olive, and now that's what's on my pizza. I love a Bloody Mary with some olives in
I'm
it.
with
So
you.
it's the same thing, right?
I was never an olive guy.
Yeah. You are now?
No, I'm still not.
He's still 7.
So what?
See, I am
I
now.
say I'm married
But how
to a
did you-
7-year-old. He
How did
likes
you get past that?
Lucky
Because
Charms.
it's like pickles and olives, anything
do
that's
it.
in
One
like
day
that.
I was just like, I think I had a really good stuffed one. It was stuffed with some sort of cheese or something, and so I was like, that was a good introduction. Now I can just eat them out of a jar if I wanted to.
Oh, I love olives.
Yeah.
I think I may always have, but I think I was always a grown-up with a real good sense of
A good
humor.
palate.
A good sense of humor. I've always been childlike and a grown-up person.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still 7. He buys Lucky Charms at the store and
Yeah.
all the
Keeps
things.
you young,
that-
right?
He
That's
kind of
me.
acts like the grandkids are coming over. That's why he's buying. I'm like, no, they're not coming over till next week.
Yeah, you just want them.
And the
for yourself.
box is empty before they get there.
That's me.
So you're a sweet drinker still.
I am,
Which is
yes.
okay. I mean, there's great. Like,
mean, I
what
love
is your
it.
wine here that people go to for a sweet wine?
Well, they go to the Riesling, obviously, and then we also have a couple that are semi-sweet that they enjoy as well. Jacob and Esau are a couple that we just released, this year? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as someone who loves wine, but as a wine connoisseur, no. I don't know my way around, but I know what I like to taste. So when you say, oh, it's a Riesling, is that because what we're referring to is a grape?
Yes.
Okay. And then it's how it's, so everybody may carry a Riesling. It's not necessarily a certain winery or a store. It's the grape that we're tasting, right?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways that works. So Riesling obviously is it's the name of the grape's varietal. So Riesling doesn't really grow around here. So what we did is we sourced some Riesling juice out of the Finger Lakes region, brought that in, fermented that off, made a traditional Riesling with it, but then we also used it. Vignoble is one of the grapes that we grow here. So Vignol's great. It's got like a tropically pineapple-y melon type flavor. but I think Riesling has a lot of kind of stone fruit and tangerine flavors that play really well. So what we did, we made a traditional Riesling, but then we also took some of that, kept it dry, and then blended that off with our Vignoble, and it makes a really nice wine called Unity, which is what I'm drinking today.
Made it sound so cool. I want to drink
know.
Riesling
I
now.
had no idea what
I'm
he said. But
wow, okay, I never knew that it was, a little more sophisticated than when I put it into the little kids section. So, no, we're not promoting kids to drink Riesling, sorry. But she's like, age-wise, I feel like I'm talking.
Not without
take it as a
Sprite.
compliment.
Exactly. So that is something to learn, because a lot of times, and that's why some taste not so good and some are really good, because it is how it is
Yeah, I think that you're right about the changing palate with people, and I think everything is like that. You didn't like your first cup of coffee, you probably didn't like your first beer.
Right.
In the beer world, and I've had that journey myself, I used to hate IPAs, they were way too hoppy, and the only thing that made me really like an IPA is when I started brewing, and I brewed a big hoppy clone IPA, and everybody thinks their kids are cute, so I had to drink it. Yeah, so I was like, what's the best?
Tequila still makes me go like this. So I really don't like it. I still get a prune face with it.
I'm not going to tell you what tequila makes me do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's a
Yeah.
song about that.
Makes them.
yes, there is.
It does worse things than that. Even. Let's not even go there. No, so a lot of people, I was really surprised at the sweet wine, drinkers, of course, that are on here. And there was really a mixture of everything, but there was a lot of white. Maybe that was the temperature, a lot of cab. And I think Pinot Noir, did I say that correctly?
Pinot
That
Noir.
seemed to be really popular as well. And some, of course, like me, I really think it depends on the day and my mood and how long we're going to be out.
And what you're eating.
Yes.
Mine is a lot of what I'm eating. If I'm eating, a steak, I would much prefer a red wine. But if I'm just eating like appetizers or something, or just dependent, I love a white wine. I reach for a white wine.
And it's just your preference, but
Sure.
there really is a way to understand the pairing of wines, which,
Sure.
red, it seems to kind of go with pasta or maybe steaks, right? But
Yeah.
fish might be white.
Sure. Well, I mean, there's two schools of thought.
Okay.
So if you're going to be very French about your wine, you might be
Or
very
try to act cool.
There you go. You might be very specific about your pairing, and it's sacrilege to pair a red wine with a fish. We tend to be more Italian in our drinking, so it's you drink what you like.
That's true.
Yeah, and for me, it tends to be what I'm doing and kind of the day. So today it's 80 degrees outside, it's sunny.
Gordon's the only one that,
I tend to go a little bit lighter on those days. And
So what are you drinking?
This is Unity.
You just mentioned that
Yeah.
actually on that. And what are you drinking, Deb?
I have the 2020 Vignoble.
Okay, so you're in the same family there. What am I drinking? It's
are-
really good, by the way.
You're drinking the Chardonnay.
Oh, that's right, because you asked me if I
So
wanted
that's an
to.
oaked wine.
I tend to usually say, I
She
want
said
something
buttery.
buttery.
There you go.
And then right away I get you want a Chardonnay then. So what makes it that buttery flavor? What softens that to?
You're probably tasting the barrel fermentation with that. So it's the time in the barrel there that's going to kind of bring that around. Also, the Chardonnay varietal it tends to be a bit more that style, but then it's finished in the barrels to give that toasty, buttery goodness.
Yeah, we finished our Chardonnay in French oak and Hungarian oak barrels. So you pick up a little bit of that oakiness that gives you that buttery flavor.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It tastes wonderful. So before we get into all that this venue has to offer, which is a lot, and I wish that you could get a wide range of all that's behind us, because there is so much actually to see coming out here. Let's find out a little bit about Washington, Missouri with Emily, with the Director of Tourism. And, first of all, I know we were talking earlier, and I guess 1839, it was
Yes.
settled by the Germans here, and went from there. And I love that it's founded instead of a founding father, you
Yes,
said.
we have a founding mother, and I'll give like a short breakdown, if that's okay, of that story.
Please, I'll drink.
Perfect. So whenever Washington was settled, William and Lucinda Owens decided that they were going to basically be the founders of the town. And William had a little bit of a run-in with someone that he was doing business with, and put this guy on trial. And so William was on his way to the courthouse in Union, which is about 15 minutes away. and he was on his way there to testify against him, this man, and he was run over and killed. And they believe that it was done
Thanks
intentionally.
for bringing the whole show down.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But the cool part of the story is that instead of just giving up, because Lucinda was a woman, she decided that she actually went through and worked with her son-in-law and continued to get Washington founded. And so, yeah, we say that we have a founding mother, which I think is such an interesting thing. And whenever I have tours come in and I tell them that, they just think it's so interesting about Washington.
There really is an overall presence when you drive into the city.
Yes.
That oldness with the new, but you feel like you've gone back a little bit in time.
Yes.
Actually.
Yes.
Not here at this venue, though.
No.
But so tell us a little bit about what people can experience and what Washington, Missouri is all about.
Absolutely. So you actually kind of took words right out of my mouth when you said when you drive
I do that a lot because I
in-
talk so much.
No, it's great. When you said when you drive in, you can feel the charm and you can feel the history, but you also have some of the new. That's one of the main things that I try to advertise in Washington is that we have that downtown, that old historic charm, but we also have our big city amenities. So we kind of have it all in Washington, and we try to just really hit every demographic, every market that we can. And just to be honest, not to go back to the winery, even though that is why we're here, we associate ourselves so much with all of the wineries because we have so many surrounding us in different cities. But for Washington to finally get their own winery, just a little bit outside of town, was just the best thing. And being able to say that now we have our own winery to be able to promote instead of trying to do business for other cities and other communities. We've always been the hub. We've always had the most lodging. But now we have our own winery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, does the train
The best one.
come through Washington, Missouri? Does the train actually
does.
come through? What a
Yes.
great way to come into town and be able to enjoy that,
Yes.
taking the train. Now, is there a way to get here from the train by any chance? Because that could be helpful.
There are a few services, car services in town that will come out here. There are actually several, and now that we're here, I think that we'll see
That will be
more
more and
will
more.
develop. Yeah,
Wineries
We're
are
only-
you always got to take the windy road.
Right.
Well, and the neat thing about it is door to door to downtown, we're 12 to 15 minutes downtown, so we're not far.
No,
at all.
not at all.
And I think with as much as you guys are growing, I think that is just going to increase with your foot traffic increasing, the need for a shuttle, which is something that, I think we've talked a lot about and we would love to get for you. I think that is something that we're going to see for sure, hopefully in the future, as long as you guys are willing to do it.
Lots of Airbnbs out this way too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
One right at the top of the hill.
We can stay here.
Make that work.
Yeah.
So what brings the charm and what can we find and be able to see when we come in besides another Alavino store that we know is in
Yeah.
Washington?
Absolutely. If you come to Washington, the first stop needs to be our downtown. We are a riverfront town, so if you come along Front Street, you eat at any of the restaurants along Front Street, you are going to see that river view. And I think that is another thing that sets Washington apart. There are so many communities that are very similar to ours in their history and, they have lots of events, but having that river, it sets it apart.
Sure.
It draws people and people just love the river. We've had a lot of people invest on our riverfront and have, we put up new townhomes because people love the river. They just want to see the river and it's calming and relaxing. So our downtown area is fantastic. Our busiest streets are our Main and Elm Streets where we have most of our shops. And we have a lot of restaurants and just lots to do.
The big fair too, once
We
a year, which is
do.
really sought after.
Yes, first week in August, Wednesday through Sunday is our fair. We have really big name entertainment, lots to do in our motorsports arena. We have a lot to do. Our Town and Country Fair is actually the third largest fair in Missouri, if you guys didn't know that.
No, I did not know
It's very
that.
big. It is a very, very big event.
It's a beautiful city, and it does. I like the word that you use, charm.
Yes, it has a lot of charm.
And then you drive to here.
And then here's what I'm thinking about, but I don't know if you even mentioned this because I was messing with some of the technical stuff.
You're
He
fine.
misses
And
out a lot
sometimes I
when he
miss
has
out
to
on
do all
stuff.
that.
But it's just a short train ride.
Yes.
From Kirkwood. You can get into Kirkwood, get on the train and come right here, hop off, enjoy Main Street, enjoy all this stuff on the river, and then get back on and go right back to Kirkwood.
Absolutely.
Last car on the train is the bar cart.
There you
Don't ask me
go.
how I know. I've heard.
Well,
So we
I
can
took
start
the
planning.
grandkids to the Magic House, but I wasn't on the last car.
He was hiding hiding over there.
He disappears like Houdini sometimes.
Yeah, because those were his kids then, that you were taking care of while he found the last car.
So do you know
gotta do that.
you know a Kevin Show?
Showy.
Showy?
Kevin Showy,
Deb
yes.
and Dan, you did a great job. He's on our Facebook feed, and he's saying you guys
I
did a
love
great
Kevin.
job. Yeah.
Kevin has been a friend of mine for probably more years than I want to say. Oh, as long as Dan's been alive.
There
How
you
about
go.
that?
They grew up together?
Kevin worked with me.
Okay, all right, so that's wonderful. Well, let's see here. So let me kind of go into the 333 Vineyard here and find out, where did you come up with that name? What is the meaning behind it?
You want me to take that?
Go for it.
So 333 is the simplest explanation is it stands for the Holy Trinity. We're very faith oriented, but I have a lot of stories that would take more time than we can discuss here. But it was just placed on my heart to plant a vineyard. I liked wine. I didn't really know anything about growing wine. I'm not a viticulturist, but I knew that it was placed on my heart to do that. So we planted a vineyard, and my son says, "Are you nuts, Mom? What are you doing?" So as I worked throughout my corporate career, anyway, we planted the vineyard, and we knew we were going to build a winery. And I think I told you this when we talked about Olivino. So the Olivino name came about as we sat down, and this guy's pretty sharp. We talked about how could we come up with the name for the olive oil and balsamic store, and yet we're going to go back to 333 Vineyard. So we named it Olive Vino. See, olive oil,
Perfect.
wine. And if you look at the
Get
small print, I get it. If you look at the small print on our Olivino bottle, you'll see it says by 333 Vineyard. A lot of people didn't notice that until we opened the winery.
Yeah.
But so 333 stands for the Holy Trinity. Again, we're very faith-oriented people, Christians, and we believe that we put God first.
That's
Perfect.
wonderful.
So
I like how she backed it up. We're very faith oriented. That's a Christian. Oh, what? Just want to make sure you understand what my faith is. So then take us through. So you come in the doors, and we will show some pictures. Gordon has some gorgeous ones. The vineyards, unfortunately, we don't have those loaded up, but we are going to share those later. Oh my gosh, they're gorgeous because I got to see them because of Emily. So, are you?
I'm showing them now.
I get to look too, apparently. So inside, when you come in, there's a gorgeous fireplace that's on the outside as well. You can seat up, what did you say, 100 people
100
on the
people.
inside?
Yeah.
And then of course, you've got a huge patio area outside
Yeah.
that's overlooking your water areas. So go ahead, take us through.
Well, sure. So actually the space where we are now, so this is a farm. The farmhouse is actually from the 1860s.
1866.
Very cool.
And the barn is original. The oldest dates I think we found out is like 1907.
1917.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1917. And then what we wanted to do, we were originally talking about trying to keep the milk house, which was on this part of the property.
Hence the cows.
Yeah,
Hence
right.
the cows.
It didn't make sense to do that, so we had to tear that down and kind of put something here that would more fit our needs a little bit better.
Right.
But we didn't want it to look like a spaceship landed on a farm, so we really wanted to use a lot of the existing structures to play with, which is why you have the silos there. The silos were here when we came.
cool.
The coolest
We just
thing.
decided to cut them up and make them into some cooler stuff.
Really awesome.
Yeah, and then to play with the topography, and the lake was here. We just made it a little bit bigger and cleaned it up, and wanted to give folks a nice view when they hung out on the patios and the barn. Where you
See,
can
they
sit
love they love water. People love
Yes.
looking at water.
That's
Water makes everything better.
There you go.
As long as it's not
Sorry,
a
I
shark
interrupted you.
floating by you.
Yeah, well, I mean, depends on how,
That's true. Yeah,
Depends on
like
how
that.
sporty you're feeling,
Depends on
I
the
guess.
water, type of water. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we wanted to put a bunch of stuff out here to where if you came out for several days in the week, you wouldn't run out of things to do. You wouldn't have to do the same thing twice. And I tell folks that come out, I like drinking as much as the next guy, but I think that it's a great side dish. It's a terrible main course. So we wanted stuff to do while you were here. So thus the pickleball courts, and then the bocce courts, and we've got the stage. So we have music on Fridays and
And
Saturdays
if
and
they want to
Sundays.
play pickleball, you have the equipment,
We do.
right? Do they rent the equipment?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how often do you have music out there on the stage?
Every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And then in the inclement weather or throughout the winter, we'll have soloists inside.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But then we don't stop there, because actually you have this gorgeous property and all these things to do. But to my right, your left, is a gorgeous venue that has just opened.
Oh, that little thing?
I want to get I want to get remarried just so I can get ready in the room upstairs for the
Are you
brides.
listening to that, Gordon?
No, I meant sorry. To
I'm
Gordon
showing
again.
No, that's what I mean. I'm just letting him know.
Not someone else, but that room. Just to be a bride and be able to get ready in that room, I was late to our wedding. Apparently, he said, but it wasn't my fault, right, Mark? So, but I probably wouldn't have come out. Someone had to come get me out of that room. That's really just
so pretty.
And the man's room is great too. Man cave that you have, but.
The groom's loft.
Let's be real.
The
It's
groom's
about
loft.
the woman on the day of the wedding. It's
It's
much more about
it really, it's all about us. But that room's quite incredible, and I guess Gordon said he showed it, which is
I'm
just
showing it now. I'm showing the groom's loft right now because you spent so much time on the ladies' stuff. So I'm gonna show
Gotta
the
make it
groom's
fair.
loft.
Beautiful.
We just opened Trinity Hall in June.
Which is how big?
It's
12,500 square feet.
there you go. We limit it. It's a 300-person capacity up there, but
Is that all?
Yeah, which is a very large wedding.
Which is small for Washington, however.
It is. It is.
I
Shocking.
like how you can close off the one area, like if you wanted to have your rehearsal dinner or maybe even a small party.
Sure.
And just wanted to use that smaller section, you can, and then you have that gorgeous patio outside where if you want to get married inside or outside, you have that ability too. So you've just really thought of everything.
Who
The
wouldn't want to get
lighting.
married
We try.
here?
Yeah, we try. The lighting and so forth. So, okay, so I have a couple questions here for you all, since you know your stuff. Where did the first wine come from? Do you know?
The first wine?
Yes.
Ever?
Oh, is this our trivia?
Yes.
Oh. Gotta be somewhere in Italy, don't you think?
Where's
no.
Brandon?
When you need them, right?
The first wine came from? Man, that's a...
Jesus.
I was gonna
Martini.
say-
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
exactly.
turned
That's where I
water
thought it
into
would
There you
be.
go. True. That's fair.
I was going to say, I think that's lost to history.
What do you think, Mark?
Egypt.
Egypt? Okay.
Oh.
So now, granted, this sounds really weird. So maybe, I've got the wrong Georgia. But
Well,
apparently,
you've been known.
Georgia is generally considered the cradle of wine, as archaeologists have traced the world's first known wine creation back to the people of the South Caucasus, can I say that right? In 6000 BC. So,
Yeah.
Wow.
wouldn't you know,
couple years
juice
ago.
wasn't hanging out. Huh?
Yeah.
These early Georgians discovered grape juice could be turned into wine by burying it underground for the winter.
Yeah.
So which Georgia are we referring to?
I don't think it's...
Because I'm thinking of Georgia right here, because that really wasn't around 6,000 years ago.
Wasn't discovered anyway.
No, exactly. So, but that's where they're finding, artifacts in that. Isn't that crazy to think of that? Okay, my next one. What is the oldest wine in the world? Now, granted, I didn't know these answers either.
Like what type of wine? Like a Cabernet or a Riesling or a...
The oldest
Have to be from
wine.
Georgia
Nope.
since it was the first,
No,
right?
exactly. It's the oldest wine in the world.
Fermented beverage, I would go with mead, but...
Look how smart they sound.
I know.
I would say it's Zinfandel.
Good guess, but the oldest wine in existence today is 325, 350 AD. There's a Spire, Speyer, Spire wine bottle is actually found in 1867 in the tomb of a Roman soldier. The Spire wine bottle is believed to be the oldest wine in existence, an actual
Oh
bottle.
my goodness.
You think it would just crumble into pieces, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be some pretty terrible vinegar at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that
Think
would
you want to taste it? All right. How many bottles of wine are consumed in a year in the U.S.? Not in your house,
I'm afraid to count.
but in the U.S. Give a guess.
How many bottles? So extrapolate out what we...
Okay, how many people are in the U.S.?
300 plus million?
300 people?
That tells you how
330
much of a
million.
problem we have drinking wine, and you're in the right
It's
business,
gotta
by
be
the
at
way.
least 500 million then.
Oh, I'd go way more than that.
You
I'd say-
would?
Oh, yeah. Per year? I'd say the average person
yes.
per year probably drinks...
Oh, per year. You're right.
Per year, let's say you're a lightweight and you're going 10 bottles a year. So 10 bottles a year times the 300 million gets you to 3 billion, I'd say, right? No, 300, yeah, 300 million, 3 billion. So I'd say
Good
somewhere
job, good
in,
partner you got there.
somewhere in the 3 to 4 billion range.
4.3 billion.
Look
There
at
you
you. Dang, you are
That's
so
why
smart.
you're in this business. If
Yeah.
we can just have a little piece
Yay,
of
math.
that, we are good.
He wasn't always that good in math, but it's grown on him.
It'll, you
When
don't,
it involves wine, you know,
There you
it's a
you
little more of
don't,
an
you don't
incentive.
care when you're younger, right?
No.
So I thought that was pretty good. That kind of made me excited about it, right?
You're asking me a question while I'm taking a drink of their wine.
Sorry, I just wanted to get your take on it. I kind of back you into it.
Well, we had some bottles of wine that were really old that we had given to us, and they were like super old, maybe 20 years old. And then you open them up, the cork, first of all, is going to. So basically, it's really important on how you store the wine, correct? Because they always say wine is better with age, right?
Depends on the wine.
Yes.
And it depends on the cork,
Yeah.
because corks
That is a
have
question.
ages as well.
So how old is wine? So at what point do you say wine is not better with age?
So it depends a lot on the wine, depends a lot on the varietal, and then the intent of the winemaker. So if you're drinking a white wine, for example, white wines are typically meant to be drank right away. So you drink them the year after they're made, typically,
Okay.
and that's how they're bottled.
This is
It's-
a oak chardonnay.
Sure, but what happens with white wines is if they're stored for too long, the fruit kind of starts to fall out, and so a lot of that fresh fruit flavor will start to go away. Now, with a wine that's meant to be aged a little bit, which I think a Norton is a perfect example. A Norton is fantastic, I think, around the 5 to 10 year mark. So a little bit of age on that wine does some really cool things, in my opinion. But that's kind of how that works. So young, fresh wines meant to be drank right away, and then wines that are meant to be put up and aged a little bit can stand a little bit more. So
Because sometimes it's kind of confusing when people talk about, they have this bottle of wine and it's aged to perfection with the right year. How does one know what makes a bottle of wine worth so much money to go to a restaurant or something and pay $600, $1,000 to have a bottle of wine brought to your table?
So I think that once you get into it's anything, everything is like this. So coffee is like this, wine is like this, whiskey, bourbon is like this, and everybody's finding out now bourbon is now the new Beanie Babies. So everybody has these bottles of whiskey and bourbon that they've got and or can't get now that are now going through the roof in terms of value. So if you jump into like the world of coin collecting people, there's a value of the coin. So how much silver is in the coin, and that's what the actual metal value is. But then there's the numismatic value of the coin, which is the rarity. So a penny to me and you it's worth a penny, but you find some 1920. I'm gonna get fact checked on this because they're like 1920 is not a good penny. A 1920 penny or whatever might be worth $20,000 because it's so rare, it's in mint condition, and
If
you can't
that's
get
true, I will be looking for that penny.
I think
Or it's been
wine,
double stamped from the
There-
mint, stuff
sure,
like that. Yeah.
Sure, and wines can be like that. So you're paying for the wine itself, but you're also paying for the rarity. So there's a reason. Pappy Van Wickle is delicious bourbon, but you can't get it now. So now that the price exponents. So wines are like that as well.
And what you can't have.
Yeah.
So the key is to make it not available. Our podcast is no longer available.
Well, a lot of your European wines, your French vinifera, those are wines that are made to age much longer. The wines that we make are not something we want you to hang on to for 10 to 20 years. We do not cork them as such, and so we want you to consume them and consume a lot of them and come back and buy a lot.
I heard that really we are going to be getting away from corks. They're running out, that we have a shortage of corks, and that most bottles, because you used to think if you screwed the lid off, you must have a cheap bottle of wine, and it's the new thing.
Well,
Which I love a cork, but I really like having, and just put that top back on.
Yep.
So the reason that we're going towards more screw caps in the United States, actually the only negative about screw caps really is customer perception. So that's it.
I'm one of those perception people.
It's really interesting.
So let me ask you. So what about? So we've got a topper. So we're talking about corks and we're talking about screw caps. How important is it? So we have one of these little rubber toppers you put in and you pull the air out of
Sure.
it. Is that important to get the air out of your wine bottle?
Sure. So wine bottles, the first and most important thing to know is wine bottles are single use. So
Oh, can't refill it?
No.
In most houses, you don't have that problem.
It's single serve. You pop the cork,
Yeah.
drink the bottle.
Bring our bottle
that's-
back and fill it for a cheaper price?
However, if you must let a bottle of wine sit open, I recommend if you open it, drink it. But if you must
Me too.
if you're on your third or something like that with some friends, of course, and you need to
Decide a fourth
store
bottle's
that.
a good option until you get halfway through it and feel like you better cap it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's the little vacuum in system. You put the little rubber cork in there. You
Yep.
suck the air out of it. It can buy you a day or two. But that's you're not stopping anything. So don't put that back in your cabinet and then try to open it next month.
Right.
You're buying
Right.
yourself a little bit of time, a day or two.
That makes so much
Kind of what we
sense.
find.
I've done that so many times and not known and been like, this tastes kind of funny.
Kinda
I don't know
weird,
why.
yeah. What about the aerators?
Aerators are great. So
They're fun.
they're fun. That's right.
They look cool.
You look like you know what you're doing. That's really so. That's always step one, look good. Step two, be effective.
Exactly.
Safety third is I think in there somewhere.
I'm safety Nana, so the price first.
But yeah, certainly aerating a wine, you're opening that wine up a little bit, and by aerating it, you're getting some more air incorporated into it, and it kind of helps it to blossom. But that's the interesting part, and that's why your wine actually goes bad after it sits on your counter. If you don't use your little vacuum in, it's getting too much oxygen in it. So think of a wine a bit like a flower. So when a flower or a rose, for example, is first picked, it's real tight in the bulb there, but with a little bit of time in the house or whatever, it starts to open up, and it gets to the point where it's as beautiful as it can get. Right? But
And
then
then
give it a day or two longer, and it goes.
Right. That's a great description.
Kind of like
Yeah.
me. I like that. I've never heard that before.
So what do you do? So when I was never a wine guy. I met Kel and it was wine, and I was like,
So many things happen.
I had but I had no clue about wines. I was quite intimidated because I knew nothing about it. So I was kind of like embarrassed or didn't even want to talk about wines because I have no clue.
Or
Just
order it. It's
Give me
a-
yeah,
when you
order
go
it. It's
out,
like,
you feel like
know
you don't want
what?
to order the bad bottle.
Took me
or
forever to
something.
figure out what Pinot Noir was. It's like, what are they saying? It's like, I couldn't even understand what the heck they were talking about. I was afraid to order because I knew I would say it wrong.
Yeah.
But what is the best way for someone to learn about wines in a quick way?
I think that there's not really a
Well, not in a quick way, but
Yeah.
Come out here and drink
to
a lot.
point to where they can
Ask him
they can
questions.
feel comfortable with
Sure.
wines
Well,
rapidly.
I would say first thing there, kind of not an answer to your question, but never be afraid to be a white belt. So never be afraid to be new at something. That's all of life. I mean, if you're afraid to do something new, well, you're going to be a pretty
Right.
boring person in 10 years. You know?
Yeah.
But if you're willing to jump into
This
an
is
area
for the
where
guys that are dating girls that know
Sure.
about wine and they
Sure.
don't. So that's where I'm going with this a little bit. Yeah.
Just faking it.
Yeah, right. Well, that's it. I mean, just go out there and try. Start learning like anything else. I mean, you go places, try, ask questions. If you come to the tasting bar, that's what we do, and we'll stand there and show you the different wines that we have, and a lot of the wineries in the area do that. And I think that's one of the most important things is don't be afraid to be new at something, and don't be afraid to ask questions. That's how we all learn. So
Right.
So I have a question. So of course, here you have this vineyard. It's been here for about a year. You're very knowledgeable. You have, the vineyards where your grapes come from. Missouri does get a bad rap for wine. In fact, it's even a joke in some things about Missouri wines. And so help us out with that, because your wine's delicious, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you're right. Missouri sometimes does have a bad rap, and that doesn't mean someone's tasted a Missouri wine. We have some wonderful wineries in Missouri, especially in this area, Washington, Augusta, New Haven, etc. So Missouri actually would have been the first Napa Valley, if you will, had it not been for Prohibition.
Wow.
So
Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Yeah, when Prohibition came about, as Emily said, this is a German settled area. So when Prohibition came about, the Germans had to make a living. So they tore up the vineyards that they planted, and they planted crops. I can't remember which one it was up in Herman. I think it was, it's now Deerberg's, but they had a nice, huge wine cellar. They started growing mushrooms. Stonehill. Thank you. You can come say hi.
Plethora of information over there.
But they had to make a living, so they had to be resourceful and find a way to do that. So then in the 1970s, Lucian Dressel, actually, who owned Mount Pleasant Winery in Augusta, filed for and received the first viticultural area designation for Augusta, Missouri. So Augusta, Missouri is the first viticultural area in the United States.
Incredible.
So Missouri would have been, had it not been for Prohibition. The California and West Coast wineries really didn't start out until the 70s. And the thing that they have up on Missouri is the weather. So, okay, Here we are. What is today? November 9th. It's 80 degrees. Saturday, it's going to be 19 in the morning and a high of 40. So it's a lot of winemaking and successful winemaking is the growing of the grape. So in California, when it's easy peasy, and you can grow the weather's beautiful every day, you don't have the challenges that the viticulturists in Missouri have in growing those grapes. Which is another reason why when people will come in and say, well, do you have a Pinot Noir? Well, no, I don't, because they don't grow in Missouri climate. So we have hybrid grapes and grapes that have been adapted to this area. One other fun fact is that without the Norton grape, the French vinifera would not be in existence today, because they had, what was it, phylloxera. And so Norton vines were grafted with the French vinifera and saved their vines.
Technically, we kind of gave them the bug too. So
Yeah,
we gave them the bug.
the
And we gave them
the antidote. Yeah. So Missouri grape growers, Missouri winemakers do a phenomenal job. And as you can see, as you go around to the local wineries, you go to Robler, you go to Noble Eyes, you go to whatever winery in the region, you're going to see these medals. We haven't started doing any of that because we've been busy building stuff.
Sure.
But
Yes, you have.
and making wine. But they win, competitions up against a lot of those other wines. So Missouri has wonderful wine.
Yes, they do. I enjoy them a lot.
Thank you.
I think that part of that.
Come say hello, one.
I think that part of that too is that if you're having something that's so steak, right? A delicious ribeye is fantastic. Elk meat is also fantastic. However, an elk steak will never taste like a ribeye. So the thing is, it's delicious in its own right. But if you're always comparing it to something else, if you're always duck is fantastic, but it doesn't taste like chicken. So if you're a person who's fallen in love with and your only experience is a Cabernet, and you come out and you have a Norton or something like that, or you're like, well, this doesn't taste anything like Cabernet. I'm like, well, you're right. It doesn't, and it's not supposed to.
And
but
aren't you smart?
Yeah, but it can be fantastic in its own right, but it's never going to taste like chicken.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think it's phenomenal. Mark, is this your first time being here?
This is
coming
the
out?
first time. I saw you guys post on Facebook, and I was out at a meeting in Jeff City, so I decided to stop by. This is
So here's an
a
outsider coming
phenomenal
in. I was gonna say,
location.
Thank you.
The wine was really good. Really liked the Norton.
what did you have? Oh, I was going to ask what you had.
I just did all the dry reds and tried the rosé as well, but the Norton was my favorite. Really good flavor to it. So yeah, very enjoyable. And this is just phenomenal. I mean, this would be really good both in warm and cold weather.
Yes, in
just
such a large
the whole
area.
ambiance. You got a huge fireplace in the other building. No, this is great. I will be bringing my wife out here
Yes, you
to
will.
enjoy what you guys have built. So well done.
So
Thank you.
of course, Mark is not from America. Can you tell?
Really? What?
So, what do you think of Missouri wines compared to what you've had throughout, the world?
I mean, I love Missouri wine.
Yes, you
so
do.
I do.
Yes, he does.
I'm a huge advocate. It's got a bad
They
rap.
try them often.
Which has not been earned. It's some really good dry reds, some really good dry whites. Really, the quality that each individual winery puts into how they do it is what's really the key. You can get some really bad wines also,
And
but you can get that
everywhere.
anywhere.
Yes.
I mean, but if you think about Napa, it was a gentleman from Missouri went out and started that. So prior to Prohibition, Missouri was the #1 grape or wine producer in the country.
We need to get Missouri back.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, is that how I say
absolutely.
it?
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
We're going to get Missouri back. Not America,
One
but just
glass at a time,
Missouri.
right?
Exactly. So Mark Sutherland, everyone, we love when he stops by and says hello at the show. And you have a new distillery that you're working
Yep.
on.
Yeah, I'm on the whiskey side. So we've
get-
got whiskey coming out next month and vodka coming out beginning of next year. So
We're gonna have to talk about
it's
my
a
whiskey
fun
wall.
Drinks
industry.
make everything better, don't they?
So we're gonna have to go check out my whiskey wall over there. So
Absolutely. I'm
quite
always up
im-
to checking out a whiskey wall.
quite
So long as
impressive.
it doesn't stay on the wall.
that's right. Usually not.
That's true. So you drink wine. We all drinking wine. Everybody, pick up your glass right now. Just hold your glass.
Good to see you guys.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, look at how we're all holding it different. Now, you all are smart, so you know to grab it on the stem. So you're being all, I'm someone who just knows I'm supposed to do this, but this would be the way that I tend to hold my glass. And Gordon's just manning it up there. He's just like, I got it, I'm gonna drink it. So, but
I look like John Madden. You know, like John Madden when you hold the microphone, you're like, well, you know, you just hold that and go, what we got here is a boom, and then another boom, and if you drink it like that, well, never mind.
and there he goes with his sound effects, which are great. So apparently, the way you hold your glass of wine really says a lot about your personality. But we know that you know, we know that you know that it's important to grab a glass of wine by the stem, because apparently, if you're holding it and grasping and putting your hands around it, you're changing the temperature, and which can also alter the taste, right?
Yeah.
With that. So that is the reason. But apparently how you hold your wine does say a lot about you. And you guys, you did do good, but apparently you can tell if someone is flirting. Yeah. So apparently holding the glass, kind of like having the thumb, I guess I'm flirty because I'm a little bit in there, but you gotta, you're just kind of putting it out there that you're a little bit, flirtatious. Yeah, I was going to print them all out. Now, some women will do this. They just kind of.
That's my mom. My mom does that.
Okay, well, she tends to be critical.
I didn't say that. My mom did not do that.
She tends to speak very confident. She's very very confident in what she does by holding it that way. Some might refer to her as the ice queen, though.
Forget that. Back up. Delete that part of the podcast.
Somebody that's like this.
This is not live, is it?
Really, I know.
See
We're
this?
no longer talking about your mom. We're talking about anybody in general.
This is a gossiper.
Oh.
That is a gossiper.
I would believe that.
Yeah,
have to
that's
watch.
and
Never
what?
Forgot we're on air. Never what I say.
Sorry. Okay, and then the fun lover. I guess that's you just kind of hold it loosely by your hand, and you're just swinging it around or whatever. You're talking with it, so that doesn't seem too exciting to me. So
Exactly.
So the person that's shy and a little bit submissive or whatever kind of tends to do this and kind of keep it around like that.
Keep
So
it at their
then
face
It's
and
kind
shit.
of, they're just kind of like this. So you'll have to literally, when you're with your friends,
watching
you're going to start watching
Yes,
what they
I
do
am.
with their glass
You
and
should
where they
never
put their
told me
hands. What I'd like to know is who did this study
Right.
and decided, of how, you would hold it. This kind of gets into a little bit of holding your bottle and your beer. So Gordon, you kind of held your glass like a
Yeah, but here's the
what
thing.
they
I
call
would
a
just
brow beater.
I would just
Wow.
confuse people because I don't think I really
You're verbally
hold it the same every time I grab it.
You're
So I would
verbally
just
hostile. It's
I would just confuse people. Oh
you
no.
need to calm down on
I
that.
was doing the John Madden thing. It's like,
They're verbal,
Schizophrenic
the
wine drinker,
Viking
is that
hold, yeah.
verbally hostile. So that's all of them right there. So try to remember you're submissive, you're flirtatious, you're confident, just, totally taking over the conversation kind of person. So you have to watch. But of course, the correct way, whatever you want to do, is to hold it. I feel like I'm going to drop it. It's like top heavy or something like this.
You'll be all right.
You know?
Takes some getting used to, probably.
Let me just drink it and then I won't spill it. So before
Both hands means you mean it.
Well, and
I'm not sharing at all. It's like that right there. So because I can't believe a whole hour's gone, I really enjoyed this so much. What is the grape right now that people would be, as a Missouri wine and as what you have, what would be your go-to right now if someone came in? That's the grape.
So today, you're going to do one of our whites, like the Chardonnay that you have.
Okay.
Or the Vineyard. On Saturday, when it's 19 to 40, you're
Okay.
probably going to go for a red.
All right.
Chardonnay would be
Chardonnay
would be
too, yeah.
appropriate.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you're open year-round?
We are.
You're open because you have so much availability inside. One thing we didn't talk about, do you have a menu? Is there any food that we can order?
We do.
Tell us a little
Flatbreads.
bit about your menu then.
Flatbreads are fantastic.
The flatbreads are fantastic. So we do a simple menu, but everything we do is really good. So we do flatbreads, salads, sandwiches, charcuterie boards. We've got some chocolate for the dessert lovers.
When did we start saying charcuterie? I can't ever even get around. I want a cheese plate with some grapes on it, please. It's such a hard
I would like
word to-
cheese and meat on a board, please.
I'm just thinking of the Billy Bob down south going, what the heck? Why is everything so damn difficult? Why can't I just have me some cheese and sausage and a beer?
Exactly. I never
Who
say
cares how I
that
hold
word
it?
right.
I
I
think
mean,
it took us 5 years to figure out, as a society, how to even slightly pronounce it.
try to
before it
text
became
that word to
weird.
somebody that you want someone to bring it. It comes out, bring the charcuterie. I mean, it never works out right at all.
And Gordon mentioned beer. We have beer. We have bourbon and whiskey. We have
Lots of
we have our Olivino cocktails here, and we have our wine because we wanted to make sure that we had offerings for everyone.
Sure.
And let me be an advocate for the Olivino cocktails. They are really good. I mean,
In fact, he asked for it when we came
Yeah.
in because he had it the last time we were here. You remembered how good it was.
They are very good.
And I'm
Very
like, do you
good.
really want to have that while we're on air?
This
Maybe
is our,
just a
our
little drink?
senior mixologist at Olivino.
And how fun is that?
It doesn't suck.
It doesn't. So you can get food. And then, of course, can you have private parties within? I know, of course, you have your venue, which is tremendous. And, you can have any type of event there and perfect for the perfect wedding. Now
Right.
I want to have again. With you, sorry.
She's not sorry about
But you can also, we're in a private room right now for a smaller gathering, perfect for showers. You can
Yeah.
also have, what are your hours then?
So we're open year round, and then let me see if I can do this off the top of my head. So Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're open from 11 to, no, I'm sorry, you do it.
I'll do
Go
it.
ahead.
So
Deb's
we're
got
open
this.
on Monday, closed on Tuesday. We're open Monday from 11 until 8 p.m.
Now that's, sorry
That's
to stop
exactly
your
what I was gonna
times,
say.
but
No,
that
you were
is-
going to say, no.
Mondays are usually a lot of times where places are closed
Well,
and Tuesday, so tell me that.
The reason is because a lot of holidays fall on a Monday. So we're open then. And
Right.
also in downtown Washington, a lot of the restaurants are closed on Mondays. So we
they can
offer
come here.
lunch and dinner. And so we
She's
have a
a
lot of people
businesswoman, can
coming
you tell?
Yes.
here. And then so we're closed on Tuesdays only. We're open Wednesday 11 to 8. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 11 until 9. Sunday from 12 to 5.
How long is your kitchen open?
The entire time.
I'm so hungry. So
We can
glad
feed
to know
you.
we don't have to drive into Washington. We did though eat. It was somebody I knew from a long time ago, a friend. I guess they still own it. The name's the same. But have you been to Aldo's Pizzeria?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I take my
absolutely.
grandkids there all the time. They love it.
Well, we went there when we left, and I hadn't been there, in years, coming in for like a fair.
Yes.
And boy, do they have good pizza.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yes.
throw a free plug to these guys because they're freaking fantastic. There's a new Mexican place down over by Schnucks, and it's wonderful.
Taco Loco?
Yeah.
It is one of my new favorites.
It's
I
the
eat
best.
I eat
Yeah,
there
it's
like
great.
3 times a
Wow.
week.
It's
We'll
great.
have to come in and try that out then. We love Mexican food.
Yeah, you gotta
Yes.
go check those guys
So
out.
we
Good
should do.
salsa.
Oh yeah, fantastic
And
salsa.
everything's fresh.
Everything's
Yeah.
fresh, but you order it at the counter and then they make it and you go sit down. It's really good though. It's really delicious. Not shameless plug, a plug for the Mingle and Jingle
Oh,
on
okay.
December 3rd, and then our New Year's Eve gala, and then the carry.
So tell me what Mingle and Jingle is. Being that it's so funny, being on radio for so many years, I'm so used to hard breaks, top of the hour news, commercials, and man, they will cut you off. And I forget sometimes, I don't have to panic. No one's going to shut us off.
No, we
I
have
mean,
as long
Gordon
as we
could hit
wanna
the
go.
button, but that'd be rude, right? So you actually, let me ask, what is Jingle Mingle, Mingle
Mingle
Jingle?
The Mingle and Jingle is going to be our Christmas market. So we're going to have a bunch of local vendors come out, set up shop.
Up at the Trinity.
Up at Trinity Hall. And then anybody who wants to come out is welcome to come out and kind of have fun. Think of just a Christmas market where you can come out and...
Love Santa from 10 to noon.
Yeah, Santa from 10 to noon, lots of local vendors. The bar will be open. We'll be hanging out, having a great time. If you're hungry, you can come on down to the winery and have some food, have some wine, and
Do you
make a
still
day
have
of it.
spaces available for the Jingle Mingle?
We do.
For
We do.
vendors.
Yeah.
For
And
vendors.
how do they get a hold of you for that?
They just can send us an email to info@333vineyard.com.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, go onto our website and fill out some information, and
Yeah.
there you go.
or just send us an email. And then for the New Year's Eve gala, it's special to us this year, as I mentioned to you, that, we are, a Christian organization. and
Not just a
family
good, strong
owned.
faith, but actually Christians.
That's right. And we really, we get a lot of requests for donations, and we get, we'll give you a bottle of wine or a bottle of olive oil, but Dan and I, we've talked about it, and we really wanted to do something that's more impactful, to be able to really do something big. So talk about briefly the
Sure, you want to talk about the family, and then I'll talk about the event?
Yeah. So we're going to do this annually, a New Year's Eve gala, which is like a black tie gala, which we'll have, it's a 5-hour premium bar with all of our wines and cocktails and all that good stuff in the venue. And but we're looking to support someone locally in the community. So this year we are supporting a family. Their name is Steffens. It's Amy and Kyle Steffens. And they have a little girl that has trisomy 18 or Edwards syndrome, which is a chromosomal disorder. Anyway, they've had some very, very rough times, and so we want to help them out. So what we're doing is we're donating a percentage of the ticket sales to the family. We're also doing a silent auction and a live auction and taking other donations for them. So we're trying to really, really do something for the family to help offset the financial burden that they're facing, and it's just really tough.
To use the gift that you have.
Right.
Yeah.
To be able to help someone else is so rewarding and uplifting and inspiring for the rest of us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
So the fact that we get to come alongside of a local family and do something nice for them is great. We're toying with names right now. I'm thinking the dance, drink, and do good.
Oh my gosh.
We called it the
That's
New Year's
actually
Eve gala.
fantastic.
It's just gonna be the New Year's Eve gala, but it might be small
I actually like
print.
drink and do-gooder. That's fantastic. I don't know when anybody does that. But you get T-shirts. I'm a do-gooder.
There you go, something fun. But a great time to support a great family. So
I think that's wonderful. So here we are, November. I can't believe it. Thanksgiving's coming up. Happy Thanksgiving to you all out there. I believe that December will be in our jammies. We were in our jammies doing our radio show. Actually, back when the world shut down and we all had to stay in your house and be safe. We did our show live on radio in our pajamas. So I think this year we're going to be doing that again, and maybe a few other couples will be in their jammies doing our show and just having some fun for the holiday, and hopefully talking about a lot of inspiring stories and things out there that people are doing for others, because that's everything when you have that ability. And that's something with our magazines. We have the ability to share wonderful stories that impact people's lives, and we're so thankful for the advertisers and the people that are in there so that we can put that out to help someone else. That's one way that we've always said that anything we do, we want to be able to give back. So we usually have an event that we sponsor and put in there to be able to share that and get the word out, because there are so many people that don't have it very easy, and things going on in their life, and to be able to do what you're doing is wonderful. So thank you for that. So we'll be back in December, hopefully with some fun stuff. Again, we're 333 Vineyard. It's in Washington, Missouri. You can go to 333, and it's the number 3. Don't spell it out. So 333vineyard.com. Find out more about this venue. Of course, we'll have our podcast on all your favorite sites. It'll be on YouTube. I'll be posting a lot of pictures that Gordon, I know he's been able to show more, but we'll put those up on the site. But I think really best of all, if you have the ability to get out here and you're somewhat local to be here, I would suggest coming out to Washington, Missouri, see the charm of the city, come out to 333 Vineyard and enjoy that. Emily Underground Hopkins, the Director of Tourism for Washington, Missouri. We have Deb, who's now Deb Fletcher, and her son Dan Baker, who own the 333 Vineyard. It's a family involvement. I'm sure there's a lot more people that are involved behind the scenes that make everything happen. And then, of course, my partner in crime and hubby right here, Gordon Montgomery. Thanks for making everything. I just kind of show up and sweat a little bit, hoping that he gets all the buttons to work, because there's so much to it. And he's sweating his, patootie off there trying to get everything to work while I go while I look at him and go like this. Are we okay?
Well, you know what?
Right?
God gives us all our gifts, and yours is the gift of gab. So I let you talk, and I'll make sure we are on there, okay?
the gift of
I just put So thank you so much. Thank you for having us out here. We appreciate that, and everybody that tunes in. Until the next show, peace.
Get your kicks on Route 66. When it winds from Chicago to LA, more than 2,000 miles all the way. Get your kicks on Route 66.